Kelly, Ripa and Mark Consuelos enjoyed their daughter Lola's recent visit home to New York City for the most part. Ripa shared her love for Lola in the comments of her latest Instagram post. LOL. Captioned a pair of selfies, seemingly taken in Ripa and Consuelo's Big Apple home on Tuesday, May 5th. Underneath the post, Ripa wrote, "Where have you been, lovey?" followed by several red heart emojis. Lola is the middle child of Ripa and Consuelos' 3 children, including sons Michael and Joaquin. She moved to London shortly after graduating from New York University in 2023 and still resides there with her boyfriend, Cassius Kidston. Lola recently traveled back to NYC to visit family and see Joaquin make his Broadway debut in the play Death of a Salesman. Incredible. She captioned a photo of the show's playful via her Instagram story on April 26th. During the Wednesday, May 6th episode of Live with Kelly and Mark, Ripa and Consuelos revealed that Lola was on her way back to London. "We all had dinner together outside last night, and we were all sneezing and coughing. And Lola's like, 'I've gotten us all sick,'" Ripa told viewers. "And I said, 'It's allergies.'" Ripa went on to call out Lola for her annoying at-home habit. "Did you happen to go into Lola's bedroom last night?" she asked Consuelos. "That was wild. That was wild. What was going on in there?" Consuelos said he did catch a glimpse of their daughter's messy bedroom, stating, "I looked at her and I'm like, 'You're leaving our house. Why is this stuff here? What is all this?'" Consuelos gave Lola the benefit of the doubt, noting that she'll be back in NYC in a few weeks. "I understand that, but I kept hoping that she would, at some point, go into her closet and take some of that with you or donate it," Ripa retorted, adding that she's told Lola to clean her room every night for a week. Consuelos shared how he approached the topic with Lola. "What I said to her was, like, you're going to be responsible for younger people, theoretically, at some point. So, you need to get this under control, or you're going to raise a bunch of this." And she looked at me and she goes, "Dad, it's 6:30 in the morning. You're talking to me about my kids," he quipped. I go, "They're not here yet. God willing, they'll come someday. But you're going to have to get this managed at some point." While Consuelos tried to get Lola to clean up with a future scenario, Ripa dug up receipts from the past. I go, "You won the Cleanest Camper Award for 3 years in a row. The Cleanest Camper Award. The teachers in school had you organize other kids' desks and closets because you were the cleanest student. What is happening here?" she said. Despite the mess, Consuelos said it was very sweet having Lola back home. "She is a net asset, that child. She walks into a room and everything gets more fun," Ripa stated, to which Consuelos jokingly added, "Just don't walk into her room." The apartment smelled like garlic and rosemary by the time Lola pushed through the front door, dragging a rolling suitcase that had seen better decades and carrying a tote bag stuffed so aggressively that one of its seams had begun to surrender. "She's here," Mark said, from somewhere near the kitchen, in the flat tone of a man who had been tracking a flight's status updates for 3 hours. Kelly didn't answer. She was already in the hallway, arms open, pulling her daughter into the kind of hug that compresses vertebrae and communicates approximately 11 months of accumulated worry in under 4 seconds. "Oh," Lola said, half muffled against her mother's shoulder. "Hi, Mom." "Don't hi, Mom me." Kelly held on for another beat. "You look thin." "I look exactly the same. You look thin and tired and like London isn't feeding you properly." Lola extracted herself and wheeled her suitcase toward her old bedroom. "London is feeding me magnificently, actually. There's a place 2 streets from our flat that does the most incredible." "Your room is exactly the way you left it," Kelly called after her. There was a pause from down the hall. "Oh," Lola said again, in a different tone entirely. "Yeah, about that." This wasn't a dramatic conclusion. It was simply the most accurate way to describe what had occurred in the months since Lola Consuelos had graduated from NYU, kissed her parents goodbye with promises to video call every Sunday, a vow honored approximately 60% of the time, and relocated to London to be with Cassius and to pursue the particular kind of freedom that only exists at that precise age. In that precise city, when you are young and a little reckless and the whole world feels like something that was made specifically for you. Before she left, she had performed what she told her mother was a full and thorough clean. Kelly had walked into the room afterward, surveyed the landscape, and chosen not to comment. There were battles worth fighting and battles worth filing away for a later date. The bedroom fell into the second category, but months had a way of compounding things. There were clothes on the chair. There were clothes on the floor beside the chair. There were clothes on the floor that were not beside the chair. There were books stacked in formations that suggested either a structural engineering experiment or a complete disregard for shelving as a concept. There were 17 different tote bags. Kelly had counted once, out of morbid curiosity, each containing smaller bags, or scarves, or earrings, or notebooks filled with writing that Lola had declared important and then forgotten existed. The closet, which had once been the pride of the room, the clean, spare spine of an otherwise complicated space, was now so densely packed that opening its door required a kind of lateral twist and a whispered prayer. Lola stood in the doorway now and looked at all of this, as though seeing it for the first time, which, in fairness, she essentially was. "It's a little," she started. "A little," Kelly agreed from directly behind her. "I'm going to go through everything before I leave. I promise." "You said that last time." "I mean it this time." "You said that last time too." Kelly put her hands on her daughter's shoulders. "Come eat. Your father made pasta and he'll be insufferable about it all night if we don't tell him it's incredible within the first 5 minutes." Mark had made a simple marinara, garlic and crushed tomatoes and fresh basil from the pot on the kitchen windowsill that Kelly maintained with a devotion she applied to very few other living things, and tossed it with rigatoni that was perfectly al dente in the way that only happens when someone has been practicing for 30 years and still checks the pasta 4 times before draining it. They ate outside, which had been Kelly's idea, because the night was warm in that early May way that feels almost unreasonably generous after a long winter, the kind of warmth that makes New Yorkers feel chosen, briefly, by the universe. They talked about Joaquin. That was the centerpiece, really. The reason Lola had come back when she did, bookending a visit that had otherwise been loosely planned with the very specific anchor of her little brother's Broadway debut. Joaquin, who had spent his whole childhood in the long shadow of parents who were, by any objective measure, impossible to ignore, had walked out onto a Broadway stage in Death of a Salesman and made it completely, undeniably his own. He was unbelievable, Lola said, for the 3rd time. She kept returning to it the way you return to something you're still processing, turning it over, examining it from different angles.